Welcome to Book Fairies First Look. I'm your host, Micki Bare. This month, we welcome author Megan Hoyt, who first fell in love with reading on a cozy branch of the crabapple tree outside her Dallas, Texas home. She grew up sloshing through puddles and wandering backstage at the music hall where her parents, both symphony musicians, performed. She is the winner of the 2017 SCBWI Work in Progress Award and serves as membership coordinator for the SCBWI Carolinas region. Megan's debut picture book biography, illustrated by Jacopo Bruno, Bartali's Bicycle, with HarperCollins Children's Books, new imprint Quilltree Books, has garnered many accolades. It was selected as a Jewish Book Award finalist and placed on the master list for the Texas Bluebonnet Award. It is a Junior Library Guild selection and is a New York Public Library Best Kids book. It's on the Texas Topaz Festival list. It was a Sibelius Award finalist, a Kids Next Spring 2021 pick, a Triple Crown Award nominee, a Community Literacy Foundation's Book Buddy program selection. It's on the Rhode Island Children's Book Award list, the Dogwood list in Missouri, the Wisconsin State Children's Book Master list, the Bank Street Best Books list, and was a Society of Illustrators art show selection. Her next book, The Greatest Song of All, How Isaac Stern United the World to Save Carnegie Hall, came out July 5th. Megan Hoyt has two more nonfiction picture books forthcoming, also with HarperCollins Quilltree imprint. A Grand Idea, William J. Wilgus and his Grand Central Terminal, and Katie's Tiny Messengers, Dr. Katie Carico and the Race to Develop the Coronavirus Vaccine. She also has a Jewish-themed book coming out soon with Apples and Honey Press, a division of Behrman House Publishers. Megan's poem, Thanksgiving by the Lake, appears in the Millbrook Press anthology, Thank You, Poems of Gratitude, 2019. And her graded readers, The Lying Lion and Clara O'Hara Private Eye, TCM, are now available. Her first picture book, Hildegard's Gift, came out in 2014 with Paraclete Press. Welcome, Megan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You are such an accomplished author.
That was amazing. I credit Jacopo Bruno for a lot of that. His illustrations were really great for Bartali's Bicycle.
Oh, nice. So let me tell everyone a little bit about the book we're going to talk about today. The Greatest Song of All, How Isaac Stern United the World to Save Carnegie Hall, is the inspiring story of violin virtuoso Isaac Stern and his mission to save the beloved Carnegie Hall from demolition. When Carnegie Hall first opened its doors in 1891, no one could have predicted its incredible success. With talented artists like Duke Ellington and Albert Einstein gracing its stage, the hall quickly became a place where all people, no matter their skin color, religion, or social status, could come together under one roof to be entertained. People like Isaac Stern. The son of Jewish immigrants who fled war-torn Ukraine for America to escape the Holocaust, Isaac was a talented violinist whose dream of one day performing on Carnegie Hall's legendary stage came true many times over. So when a real estate tycoon sets out to demolish Carnegie Hall, Isaac knew something had to be done to preserve decades of hopes, dreams, and inclusivity. Author Megan Hoyt and illustrator Katie Hickey tell the true story of one man's fight to save a historical landmark whose timeless symbol of equality will forever stand the test of time. Wow. Such a wonderful thing to talk about, especially now. And this book actually was personal for you, a labor of love. Can you explain why?
Yeah, my parents have both passed away, not recently, but they met playing in pit orchestras in New York City. And they didn't play Carnegie Hall because there was no pit in under the stage of Carnegie Hall. They met at Radio City Music Hall. And it was the 1940s, so don't think too hard about how old I am. They were older parents, but there was no air conditioning. So they would get really hot in the pit during all those shows. They played for the Rockettes. And it was a wonderful experience, but my mom would start to faint. because of the heat. So one day, my dad, before they were dating or anything, he got smelling salts to keep on his stand. So if he saw her swaying while she was trying to play her violin, then he would just reach over with the smelling salts, and then she would revive because they're, I guess, really strong. I've never experienced smelling salts, but so she was just so impressed that he had thought of that and was watching her and caring about her. Um, so that she said yes when he asked her out, and they went for their first date to the Carnegie Deli for cheesecake. And they had, during my childhood, just lots of stories about the days in New York. And then they moved to Texas to be in the Dallas Symphony. So I did grow up around symphonic music, and they have met Isaac Stern at one point as well.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive. And what a really cool history. So tell us, let's go into the research. Was it easy or difficult to find all the information that you eventually needed to put this together?
I found a lot of information on the internet, of course. That's where we first go, research with Google, but I really wanted to know more. So I went to the archive in New York at Carnegie Hall. There's like you take a special elevator that they had to come down and greet me and unlock the elevator to go up to the staff area. And the archivists there were so gracious with their time. They pulled out all these boxes of materials. And I sat down and I thought, oh, this is not an afternoon's worth of research, really.
Yeah.
I'm leaving New York tomorrow. So this ought to be interesting. So I just frantically pulled out my phone and just picked up folders and opened them and took pictures. And I just have so many newspaper clippings, and there was so much there, including an autographed picture of Tchaikovsky. So that was really, I didn't even, I guess 1896. I guess they had photographs back then, and he signed it. And the trowel they used to dig the first cornerstone of Carnegie Hall was there, and just amazing stuff, but overwhelming. So I had to condense, and then the material itself was complicated. It's
Mhm.
to explain to children about how these events took place and the order that they happened, and also in a way that interests them because they're kids, so
Right. And that's
so
actually my
I
next
handled it.
question. Like, how difficult is it to not only get all of that information and pare it down, like organize it, pare it down, but then make it something that kids would understand and can relate to? So how difficult was that, and how did you approach that?
It was, well, it was too long before I revised. I started just reading through out loud and just thinking, this is boring, like reading a journal or something, like a, not scientific, but like, a business journal or something. So I pulled a lot of it out. The basics are still there. So they'll learn a little bit about a legislature, and about how much money it takes to save a giant symphony hall size building, and just some of the things that took place. Like, you have to form a committee, and just picketing in the street is often not enough. People forget you'd have to be there every day. Um, yeah, I pulled so much out of it. And then there were different committees. The beginning, there was a committee, and then there wasn't the same people on the later committee. They got a big donor, and he came in later, but I like the dates of it all. It was hard to keep the storyline going and talk about the committee, but that was a different one than the one I talked about at the beginning, but I don't have time to explain.
Well,
But
and
I
then real
good.
estate and contracts and all of
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
had to explain. So, yeah, how much of that did you pull in, and how do you make it, kid friendly?
Well, hopefully I did a good job with that. And I think the illustrations help too, because he's at a
Right.
desk, he's on the phone, he's trying to help. And then he's got on one of the spreads, I mean, I guess I could show you, he's got all these papers. Um, like, can you see? Like, there's
Yeah.
papers scattered all over the floor, and it's just to sort of show that he's got all these ideas he's coming up with. And then the legislature meets.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
see, and that's the thing with children's literature, the artwork really does play an important role in telling
yeah,
the
I mean,
story.
Because when I turned it in, I thought, oh, she's going to say it's too long, I think. And oh, I hope it's not too boring. Or, I was just like, buy this book, please. I know it's a strange thing to try to teach children about, but it's also really compelling too. So
Absolutely. So, in your opinion, what is the greatest song of all?
I love that open. To some people, it's the unity, coming together for a common cause, maybe activism for other people, um, kindness to others. Like for me personally, I feel like over the course of time, we've kind of lost touch with the value of the arts. And I was hoping to kind of bring that in as well, because I feel like, I don't know, music and art, for me, music more than art, but that's just me. um, it brings warmth and fullness to life. Like, I mean, even kids that listen to like really hard rock or whatever, like it's bringing something to their lives. And I feel like that's the idea of keeping that and
Mhm.
not letting it be destroyed is important. And that's like the greatest song of all is coming together to save this beautiful building and to save beauty in the world, and just coming together, period, in a
Mhm.
time where people are so polarized. They won't come together for anything, it seems, but just to find a common cause, and really fight for it with all that's in your heart.
That's such a beautiful message. Everybody coming together around music, especially in the arts. It is something that brings us together. So let's shift a little bit. Do you have any advice for new authors who are still working toward getting published? Because you won that SCBWI Work in Progress Award that a lot of folks compete for during the year. So yeah, tell us what would you tell them as far as becoming, breaking into publishing?
Well, it's more of a marathon than a sprint. It took 10 years of writing a lot of really bad stories before I got to that point. And I was in critique groups and we kind of, muddled along together. And now a lot of us are published. But um, if I could help you, you know, leap past some of the hurdles that I didn't at first, I would say read a lot of picture books or middle grade or YA, whatever you want to write. Read like way more than you think you need to. Read hundreds of them because it didn't really, or also type them out on your computer and see how many words are on each spread and see where the page turns fall and why the pacing is the way it is. I didn't do those things. I thought, well, I'm writing this great story and everyone's going to love it. And then I look back at them and they were so bad. It's really awful.
It's a learning process. I think we have these great ideas, we put them out there, and then we learn and learn and learn and go back and look, and yeah, there's those things that we did early on that it's like, oh, what was I thinking? But that's part of the process, right? It's part of the learning process as you grow as a writer, and you learn those things and you find your rhythm and your what you do well as far as how you want to, like, what you want to write and the style and in all of that. So
And listen to people. When they tell you something is great, don't take it out. When they tell you something's really not working, please cut it. But only if like there's consensus, because sometimes there'd
right.
be like, oh, this one person didn't like this one thing, and then you take it out and the editor loved it, and why isn't it there? So, keep that in mind. But yeah, listen to people. I think there were times when I thought I knew better. And for example, also, you want to write the stories that you loved as a child, but times have changed. So what, generally speaking, a picture book will be lengthwise is 500 words for fiction or around 1,000 for nonfiction. But it wasn't that way when I was little. It was much longer. So if I want to look at the books that I used to read as examples, that's not really going to cut it. That's not going to sell today. So you have to keep up with the market and pay attention to what's out there. I mean, if not buying the books, go to the library and or ask your library to buy the most current picture books and, you know, read them.
Right. That's part of our Book Fairies program. You go out, request these books at your library so that we have them, in circulation in our local libraries, and we can then read each other's books and find out what's, what people are writing now and what kids are reading now. So that's great advice. Anything else that we need to know, like that you want folks to learn from your experiences?
Well, just something funny and idiotic that at the beginning of my journey, I made an appointment with an editor and showed up with my manuscripts because I didn't know that you're supposed to submit whatever way they ask.
Oh,
I just showed up. And she said, "What can I do for you?"
yeah, there's
I was
there's that
that's
whole
nice.
system. Yeah, that's very good advice. Do look up what their submission, yeah, policies are, or yeah, guidelines are, and follow those. Yeah,
Yes.
because that will save a lot of time in the long run for sure. Excellent. Well, I have a feeling there's going to be quite a bit of interest in this book. It's just a beautiful book, a beautiful message, and it's a nonfiction story. So, what is the best way that teachers, readers, librarians, bookstore owners can engage with you?
Probably on Twitter, and my handle is at Megan Hoyt Writes. Um, Possibly Instagram. I'm not there as much as I intend to be. I connected it to my Facebook, so maybe Facebook and Instagram as well. But I'm always on Twitter. So.
Excellent, excellent. And we'll have those on the slide at the end. And anything else that you want to say or talk about as far as your book?
No, I just want to thank you so much for doing these interviews. It's really helpful to people. And well, I'm the membership coordinator for our Carolinas region, and I know I was selected at random because you just pull names, but I'm really honored to be here, and I appreciate our members so much, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today, Megan, and all the wonderful information that you shared. It's just, I think that's one of the things out of our region that's super helpful for those that are wanting to, write and become published however they want to publish. But I think these author interviews do that, provide some of that information and glimpses into the process and what to expect. So thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.